tell a little quick story before our next presenter. I had the pleasure of meeting Sydney at an event I hosted up in Fayetteville called Startup Weekend. And typically through these events, it's a competition where people try and pitch tech ideas, like the next app that they think is going to make it big, or the next Facebook. And it's usually one of the easier things to do because it's a low capital resource thing that you can launch pretty quickly. But Sydney was with a group of high school students that came up to pitch a project, and after everyone had gone through all their pitches, the crowd was a little dead, and we asked if anybody had another idea to come up and pitch. The first person who shot up was Sydney Brazel, and she pitched an idea that just came up into her head on her trip on the way up, and it wasn't it wasn't a traditional tech startup that gets pitched at these competitions. But I can attest for everyone who was there, she gave the best pitch out of everyone there, and she's in high school. So I had to brag on her a little bit because I've gotten to see her from this event. I'm wearing a T-shirt just for her today, and see her progress now, and she's making products for us to enjoy. So without further ado, Sydney Brazel.
While Jordan puts the website up, I just want to let everyone know I do normally cook out of copper grill, but the holes that are actually back there were made at my house. I went yesterday with my friends to make holes, and we had a little problem making them. They didn't turn out as well as we hoped, so I didn't want to bring them because, you know, product is important to me and the quality of that. So they were made in-house. If that affects your decision to eat them, I'm not offended at all. I just don't want anyone to be upset about that, so just a heads up. But you should still eat them anyway. Okay. Well, as Jordan said, my name's Sydney Brazel. I'm 16 years old. I'm about to be a junior at eStem High School downtown, which is about 3 blocks down the road. The whole thing right here is my business. Actually, like 3 weeks ago, we became an LLC, which is probably the biggest thing I've done in my life, I guess, as a 16-year-old. And that's really important to me. I don't really I think my age can be used as a disadvantage to me. Like, people think, oh, you're 16, you can't really do that much, but I like to think that it's the biggest advantage I have, because I do go to school for 8 hours a day, and I sit in a classroom, and I have to learn, and then I also want to answer emails, so I spend lunches and study halls answering emails, getting on Twitter, trying to, you know, push my product and my company. But I think that teenagers really do run the world, and I didn't really know that until I was in this class at my school called Noble Impact. And Noble Impact is a program that I'm in that's partnered with the Clinton School, and it's to teach the intersection between public service and entrepreneurship. And for me, I was like the 4th grader who had the bracelet business, and I sold bracelets to my friends, and I wanted to babysit people and all that stuff, but I never really thought of entrepreneurship as a career path for me, or as a way that I wanted to do, something I wanted to be involved with. And Noble showed me that I didn't have to be a big CEO and wear suits every day and stuff, that I could just be a kid and I could do what I wanted to do, and I could still make money and still have a good impact on people. So that's something that's really important to me. One thing I kind of wanted to explain was what a hole is. So a hole to me is not necessarily a donut hole, but I feel like that's the easiest way to explain it, because when you say hole, people are kind of like, okay, what's that? And so to me, I just say donut hole out of convenience and ease of explanation, but a hole is really anything that is a hole. So spherical, it's a spherical object. Like, so pizza, for example, that's something that me and my mom have been working on. My mom was like, how about we make pizza holes? I was like, okay, Mom, you do that. And so, you know, it's how do you, so the funnest thing I think about the whole thing is, how do you take something that is a regular food item or a dessert and turn it into a hole? Because it's so much easier to just eat a little tiny happy hole. So back to the beginning. So the whole thing started a week or so before Northwest Arkansas Startup Weekend. In class, we were told we had to do a G60 pitch. And before I found out about this pitch, I was at the donut shop with my mom, the one that I had gone to since I was a kid. It's like right up the street from my house. We'd always stop before church. And we were there, and I was getting pink ice sprinkled donuts because those are the best. And I was in the car, and I was kind of like, Mom, why don't they make donut holes like this? Like, why is that not a thing? Why don't they have variety gourmet donut shops or anything. And she was like, I don't know, how about you do it and call it the whole thing? You're in Noble, like, you can do this. So I was like, okay. And we had the pitch, and I actually told it to my ex-business partner. I was like, we should do this together. We should pitch this. Like, this should happen. And we decided to not pitch it together, but we pitched it, and then it went great. And I brought Shipley donut holes because I didn't know what else to do. So I just brought a bunch of donut holes, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I just don't know how I'm going to do it yet. And after that, I went with 6 other kids in my class to Northwest Arkansas Startup Weekend. And we actually pitched a company there called Passion Pool. And we're actually in the process of probably starting that back up, which would be really awesome. But we're working on that kind of. It's in the works. But I ended up pitching the whole thing, like Jordan said, just because I like talking. And why not? I wanted to pitch my idea. I thought it would be cool. And before that, it was kind of a joke. And I didn't have really adult validation, I guess, from like the masses saying this is actually a real idea, like you could do this. And so it was a really big turning point. And that's kind of when I decided that you define your own success. So there's this picture I have, it's on my Twitter, and it's of me and Max. And Max is who helps Jordan organize Startup Weekend. And I'm just beaming at Max, and he's talking to me, and I'm holding my giant sticky note that says the whole thing. And it was like the height of Startup Weekend for me. Like, that was the biggest point thus far, was that someone told me, like, this is real and you can do this. And I just was so elated that someone was like, your donut holes are awesome. And that was really important to me. So I got back to my house after Startup Weekend, and I was like, Mom, we have to do the whole thing. Like, this is going to happen. We have to do it. And so we ended up buying a little cake pop maker, and it's a blue Bella cake pop maker. And I don't have the picture of it because I lost my phone at Riverfest, but that was the cake pop maker. That was the stuff. And we made our first donut holes, and we took them to the Noble Impact class. And everyone was like, yeah, this is cool. Like, you should keep making these. So Katie right here, she's one of my facilitators, and she told me that she doesn't like donuts, which I thought was crazy. I was like, how do you not like donuts? So I told my mom that Katie didn't like donuts. I was like, we have to do something for Katie. So Mom was like, how about we make biscuit holes? And I was like, okay, Bob, we can try this. We'll try it. So we tried out making biscuit holes, and it worked really well. And I actually got a job at Dunkin' Donuts, and I saw that other people were making donut holes. Like, that was not, different flavors of donut holes wasn't unique enough anymore. So I was like, we have to do something with just holes. So I started making, like, chocolate chip cookie holes, muffin holes, biscuit holes, things like that to differentiate myself from the bigger corporations. So in January, I brought on a partner. I in December, got really slow, and I didn't really want to do it anymore. I didn't want to be that serious. I was kind of like, I just want to lay around and watch TV. So I decided to take a break at Christmas and then hit it like hard in January, and I gained a partner, and it was the best and worst decision I ever made, because it taught me that you can't just make good out of the blue decisions, that I should probably not just do things because I am impulsed to do them. And I learned a lot from him, and we're still really good friends, but we found that friendship and business don't mix well, and we fought a lot. And so it was definitely it was like a heartbreak for me, because when someone becomes invested in something that you love and then you kind of just fight about it and it gets crazy, it was like the lowest point of the whole thing. But we bounced back. Here I am making holes with my mom. That's the CMO over there, BT Dubs. She's pretty awesome, the chief mom officer. My parents are definitely like the #1 supporters of the whole thing. My mom and I will be in the kitchen making donut holes, and my dad will be sitting on his laptop, and he'll be telling us about all the things we need to do. And we're like, Dad, why aren't you just are you gonna help us do it? Like, what's going on? He'll be like, no, this is what you need to do, Sid. This is what you need to do. And then my little brother is somewhere. He's the chief taste tester. He's and the negotiator, because he likes to make deals with us. So that's really cool. But right now, kind of the whole thing, we just launched Friday at Copper Grill, which is a few blocks down the road too. And it's a restaurant. And I met Mary Beth Ringgold because Dean Rutherford of the Clinton School, he actually knew Chad, and Chad was like, I want you to pitch to Mary Beth because Dean said to. I was like, I can't say no to Dean. So I met Mary Beth, and I got to talk to her a lot, and she's been really supportive of the idea that even if I don't do anything with it, that the experience of just being in her kitchen will be way worth it. And so I've got to not only make holes in their kitchen, but also to learn a lot from their kitchen staff. So Jackie is really awesome. Jackie's the head chef there, and she lets us cut onions, and I get to help make the tomato jam and stuff. And so I'm learning a lot of valuable lessons, besides just making holes there. So that's really cool. What else?
That's
perfect,
6 minutes? Perfect timing.
All right.
Good job. Good job, Sydney. All right, who has the first question?
Have you thought about taking these to like weddings?
Yeah, something that I kind of struggled with, I guess, was where do I market this? Because, you know, you think of donut holes and you kind of think of little kids, but then I also found that it's something that's really accessible, like cake pops, and you could do that at a bigger scale. So right now, I'm in the works of figuring out what is the exact number of holes that I need to serve for an event. So say you have an event and the minimum is 100 holes you have to order, and then I can work with you on how to create the holes more specifically and uniquely for your event or your party. So I definitely want to move to something like that, but it's just, you know, transitioning into it.
Where can we find your product?
So right now, Copper Girl is your best bet. If you go there, unless they sell out, which I pray they do, but if they're not sold out, they should be there every night. Right now, I'm really sticking with like chocolate chip cookie holes, lemon bar holes, sort of simple all-around items, and they'll be served with their ice cream, which is house made. So definitely go there first. You'll get it as a dessert item. But if you want to do a larger order, definitely just email me. You can email me through my website. You can tweet at me, do whatever, and we can get in contact and definitely talk about it.
That made me hungry. Who are you and what do you do?
Walter Burgess, laser manufacturer. Can you talk about your price points and, if you're willing to, your margins and shelf life?
Shelf life right now, it ranges on holes depending on exactly what's going in them. I found that chocolate chip cookie holes can last up to 6 days. I mean, they're obviously not going to be as good as they would be fresh and warm out of the oven, but there's definitely still a good taste to them and they can last that long. I'd go average around $5 a dozen right now, but that's definitely something that I need to work on is pricing, and I've been lazy on that. And I mean, I am still 16, so I don't really understand the financial side of things. That's what I'm working on doing this summer, is really tightening margins and working on that. But through Copper Girl, I am able to order through Cisco now, so that's something that I'm working up to, is ordering in bulk so that my prices will drop, or my cost will drop. So I don't have a specific margin yet, but I'm still giving them to you at a reasonable price and making enough money back that I can afford my supplies.
Don't feel like you have to drop your price.
Okay.
Yes.
Glenna Cook, I want to ask you, you're young. I admire you very much, and I admire your family and your mom particularly, because this is what any young person needs. But how do you really feel, basically, about being in business at 16?
It's definitely stressful. A lot of times I have to battle with, do I do and read 12 pages of AP World, or do I reply to emails and try to talk to people, or do I update my website and stuff? And so I definitely think that balancing between school and business is the hardest part. But like my mom and I were up last night till 12:30, 12:45, 1 in the morning, like making holes, because I was like, we have to get these holes done. They have to be here. So I definitely think that the support I have from my parents is kind of keeps my head level, as far as not, you know, just becoming insane. But also my school, eStem is really open to the Noble program because it's piloted there, and also we have East, and I've become really close with our CEO and with our counselors and stuff, so a lot of my teachers understand what I'm doing, and not that I get like breaks on work, but they also know that if I'm doing something like going to Copper Girl at 2 o'clock, then it's okay to miss class as long as I'm making my work up and stuff. So it's been a little easier, I think, than maybe on other people, but it's definitely the hardest part is school and business.
I'm Nicole with City Connections. Where are you advertising now to let people know about what you're doing?
Mainly just social media and word of mouth. I think that Twitter is probably the strongest message that I'm putting out, just because so many people are connected through Twitter, and every time you're retweeted, that's 1,000 more people who see what you're doing. I don't really think, and I mean, besides that, not really anything. Just social media, word of mouth, my website, obviously, but I've definitely had a lot of exposure lately through articles, and so that's, I guess, has been a lot of help with getting the word out.
Hello.
Hey, Mike.
How's it going?
It's
Mike
good.
with the Venture Center. So, even though I guess most high school students are still in school right now, sorry, Jordan. What's your advice for someone who wants to start something while they're in high school?
I think my biggest advice would be know that you define your own success. Money does not mean that you're successful. You could be filthy rich and still be extremely unhappy. And I think that, I realized that I was successful the day I decided that the whole thing was going to be real. I didn't need a legal piece of paper that said you're a real business, So you have to have confidence in yourself knowing that your business is valid when you say it's valid, and that, once you push that it's there. And also surround yourself with loving people, because if you're around negative energy, you're just going to be in a funk for a really long time. It's not going to be fun. So definitely find a group of supportive people, or me, I'll help you, I got you. But just, surround yourself with someone who's going to be there to care, definitely. Hey, Mom.
Okay, yeah. So I'm Renee Brazel. I'm known as the CMO, or the Chief Mom Officer. A couple of things I wanted to say. First of all, in events, like we've done holes, or Sydney's done holes for bridal shower. The gentleman who wrote the first article on her in Arkansas Business, she did them for their school bake sale. So we're doing some of those things, some birthday parties and that kind of stuff. I have a view as a parent, as someone who, her dad and I both work. We're both professionals. We do not own businesses. We do not come from families that own businesses. So really hearing people talk about entrepreneurs and, when Shark Tank came on TV and stuff was one thing. When she first came home and said, I'm going to do this Noble Impact class, and I'm like, okay, that's just like a blow-off class, right? I mean, what is Noble Impact? But the more they got into it and started talking and learning about business, learning about the thing I love about Noble Impact classes, they're learning about public service. They've gone out and they have actually done community service, which is the very strong tie they have to the Clinton School and their teachers coming out of there. That weekend in Fayetteville, they were the only high school students up there. And they took the challenge, and they were so excited. And then after that, there was an Arkansas high school startup weekend that was at Clinton School. And all these high school students are 16 teams, and Sydney and her team were kind of mentoring because they've been through the experience. But the access that they have to established business owners, I think, is one of the most important things when you're going to harness the energy, the creativity of teenagers. Because yes, the tech things and apps, there are kids who are doing that and doing business things, but other ideas. She has been around in her class, had so many business leaders come in, talk, answer questions through startup weekends, met people that she would never have met because, we're not business owners and in that world. And they gave her that validation, and then we said, okay, we're going to support you no matter what. And you can go on, but not just her, seeing the other high school students at Startup Weekend and their enthusiasm and their ideas. I mean, they were like locked in there for, 30, 40 hours over the weekend. But, when they presented their businesses and they said, here's our problem and here's our solution, it was so well thought out. But for me, like Mary Beth Ringgold at Copper Grill has been phenomenally supportive. She basically said, I love your enthusiasm. Let me try to help you, because we had to get out of just cooking at home to sell. There are just numerous from the Chamber of Commerce people and stuff who have been available to her, and that's why I like this setting. I mean, what you have experienced and what you can offer to young people is becoming more and more important, because, quite frankly, at High School Startup Weekend, there was a recruiter from St. Louis University, and there is the gentleman who Sydney follows and was involved with from Warford College.
Wofford, Mom.
Wofford College. And so the St. Louis University person saying to her, oh, you know, we have an entrepreneurial and women program here. We do a camp in the summer. You should come. Warford College is saying, no, wait, you should come to our college. So as colleges pick up doing entrepreneurship and business, and I know that locally UALR is heading in that thing too, things like the Little Rock Technology Park. Mm-hmm. And all these things that build entrepreneurship here, because Sydney started her business in high school, but if I'm a high school student and I go to college out of state and I start a business out of state, then that revenue, that resource leaves the state of Arkansas. So I think a lot of those things are important for what's really coming, and giving the colleges and the city here the opportunity to harness this. But the last thing I'm going to ask Sydney to just mention is how her Noble Impact class taught the third graders at eStem Elementary 2 weeks of Noble Impact classes, and what her thoughts were on that.
Okay. So I am my mom's child. We both like to steal the show. But we had a thing that we did with elementary school, in our, to keep in mind, our buildings are directly across the street from each other, so we just walk across the street to go see the elementary school students. But we were in third grade classes for 2 weeks, and we got to walk them through the process of the lean canvas, which is something that I think a lot of people look at and go, a third grader could never work through the lean canvas. And so they found a problem in their classroom, and they got to work through that through the lean canvas, and we got to mentor them and become their friends. And it was really cool to just see that. I thought that high schoolers are going to be like the new breed of entrepreneurs, but the fact that a third grader can work through the lean canvas tell you that there are not enough pencils in their classroom, and this is how they're going to solve it and keep up with the lost pencils, how they keep getting lost, and that they could actually start businesses. And they might not be Axioms and huge tech companies, or they might not be, donut shops or whatever, but they're viable ideas in those third grade classrooms. And now that it's the entrepreneurial spirit, I guess, is moving upstream, it's really cool to just know that, I was there to watch these third graders solve problems. And so that was definitely cool.
We'll give it up for Sydney and her mom. Hold on. Remember? Okay. Yes. Okay, so like we did with Jamie, what's the one thing we can do, action item, we can leave with today?
Okay. My biggest action item is I just want to make more friends. I want to have more mentors involved in the whole thing. I want y'all to join the whole team. But right now, I really need financial help, so if anyone is expertise and an expert in finances or that side of business, I would really enjoy meeting you and talking. But anyone else, come join me. I just want to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Well, thank you so much for our presenters this week. And I love that both of them hit it right on the head on a really awesome point that captures kind of the essence of why we're here today. And it's building relationships with people and just caring enough to maybe roll out some connections and say, hey, I have somebody that could probably help you if you're willing to learn. Providing that opportunity goes a long way. And you find that people actually step out. They might stop watching TV as much. They might quit their job and try and start their own venture and create jobs for other people. If you just give them the chance and the opportunity to learn, it can go an amazing way. So I like to thank everybody out. Thank for coming out this weekend or this week. Mike Steely has a sign-up sheet in the back that we're using to track how many times people are coming to the event. We're coming up on our 10th event here soon, and we'll be passing out 1 million cup coffee mugs for the people who have made it to 10 events. So the more events you come to, we'll be giving you something to kind of share and bring back and use for our coffee. And then also, if you guys have anyone who is passionate about their business, they're an entrepreneur and wants to tell their story, and we can learn from that story, please recommend them to come here and join our family of 1 Million Cup presenters. And then also bring a friend next time. It's awesome to have really smart people in the crowd to ask engaging questions, and you never know what you're going to learn from these types of things. Also, one last thing, I like to keep the momentum going. We do have 1 Million Cups going every single week, but there's also a few other events that are going on in our startup ecosystem. Next week on Tuesday, there is a Build It series for the Venture Center, which is a CEO fireside chat. The first one will be with James Hendren, who's an angel investor in the state. And then also on Wednesday night, there is a hubbub on behalf of the Arkansas Innovation Hub at the library on Main Street in North Little Rock. And you can find out more information at arinnovationhub.com for that. And then Mike has a bunch of swag we can pass out and share the word with. So thank you for coming. Grab some coffee on the way out. Feel free to network and make more friends.